So welcome to Chi Time TV, Tim.
Hi.
Good stuff. We've spoken on the phone before, haven't we now?
Yeah.
But here we are for the Conscious Living event in February. So a lot of time has gone since the summer, and I know that you've had personal reasons for that, but you're back in the saddle now, doing your retreats, back on. But you come from the West Country, don't you, down near Glastonbury, is it?
I live in Glastonbury, but I'm not a blow-in, or as they say, or a Glastonburian, as they say in Glastonbury, for people that have come there. I actually, you can probably hear when I said there, is I'm actually a West Country boy, and grew up around that area. So it's my home. It's near my hometown.
And what's it like down there at the moment?
Mad. I mean, the weather is crazy, like it seems to be so many of the places. Just coming here tonight, whoa, my goodness, I don't know what's going down, but it's something full on at the moment, isn't it?
Actually, that whole water element, we are being besieged by it, and yet, we need water on planets to show life, and yet it's almost like the water's washing the life away at the moment. Do you think there's a message going on here?
Well, obviously the great fear is that we're seeing the beginnings of the predicted effects of global warming, and if that is the case, then we're just beginning a massive journey, and a journey that we'll make collectively. And what strikes me very much in the world today is how well we've dealt with a lot of problems that our forebears found very difficult, and yet how we are now having to face a whole new load of problems. What's interesting about so many of them is they're global, which means that whereas we could solve these problems on our own or in a small scale or a country, you can't solve climate on your own. There's no divisions in space. Everything, the climate really is one. Even if we've divided up the lands into these little allotments, we can't divide up the sky in that way.
So do you think that's the message, the oneness message?
I think it is, yes. I think we're aware now that we're one world. We've seen it. We came out into outer space, we actually looked at it and went, oh my God, it's true. And now we're just taking in all of the ramifications of that.
Yeah. So this is leading into a lot of what you speak about, I believe. Tim is a writer and a speaker and a retreat and workshop leader. You've written many, many books, and I know the one particularly that stood up for me was the lucid living, and really being sort of aware in the present moment.
All my books, and I have written a lot, but they're all about consciousness, and particularly they're about an interest I have in altered states of consciousness and states in which you would say you are more awake, what I would call being deep awake. Lucid living is particularly one about examining the moment and understanding it in a new way that can make you see that life is much more like a dream than we normally recognize, which on the face of it can sound pretty outrageous. But what I hope with the book, and with all my books, is that I'm not, although I live in Glastonbury, which is a kind of woo-woo capital of the country, and I love it for that because it's charming, I am not particularly that way inclined myself. I mean, I do, on the Philosopher, I do like to approach things in a rigorous way. I like to really be able to think things through as well as feel things through, both, to be logical as well as intuitive. So I want, with my books and with what I teach, to be able to address both the head and the heart. So when I look at something that claim like life is like a dream, that you can see being shared by all the mystical traditions of the world, right the way back, from shamanism forward, all of them, the Gnostic Christians, the Zen, Buddhism, generally actually Hindu, all the mystics in every tradition are saying something very similar. And when I come to say it again for our age, the important thing for me is that it's not seen as something weird, but seen as something which you can experience for yourself and therefore judge from your own direct experience. So my intention always is to give people the conceptual tools through which they can understand their own experience of life, but in a new way, and in a way that could actually make it much more interesting perhaps, or bigger or deeper than the way they were experiencing it before.
So is this the wow way?
The wow way, yeah. I mean, I'm always giving new names for it, because it's got no name. I mean, I call it the mystery experience a lot on my retreats, because you can't actually put it into words. So here I am, an author, a philosopher, I deal in words, and yet the thing I'm trying to talk about, you can't put into words. It's something you have to experience for yourself. And one of my favorite words for it is just the wow. And the reason that I called it the wow is that I found that, you know, after my retreats, I get all these emails from people about the experience, and I just realised that so many of them, often in the title, there was the word wow, always in capital letters, usually with 3 exclamation marks.
Yes.
And it is wow. This awakening which people have talked about, which is available to everyone, is wow. It's seeing the wow of life. And so much of it can sound like it's going to be dry and that you've got to be very disciplined, or you've got to give up things and you mustn't have sex, and I don't know, you've got to be someone with an ander at the end of your name and live up a mountain somewhere. It's for somebody else.
Yeah.
That's not my experience. I'm not like that at all.
Very practical. And this idea of head and heart working together, right, left side of the brain. You know, there's this balance. We are currently humans having a spiritual experience, aren't we? So, and we are a very sort of left brain society. So I know you know Becky Walsh, don't you?
I do.
She's coming next, the Conscious Living event.
Becky and I are doing an event together called Wake Up Stand Up.
There's a song there, isn't there?
So we're going to do Wake Up Stand Up in Bristol, where we're doing, she's doing her stand-up intuitive thing, and I'm doing my stand-up philosopher thing, because it's important to make this fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, you know, if you're going to, I mean, I believe that everything you need to understand through paradox. That's the basis of what I call my paralogical thinking. So you bring the opposites together. So if you really want to address the most serious thing, you better do it and be funny.
It's bringing the fun into profundity.
Oh!
Like that. having fun with it, exactly. Otherwise, as you say, it's just going to push people away.
And it's not. It is for that. It is because we want to. You know, I feel like I've been lucky enough to stumble across something really, really precious about life. Yeah. And I don't know why. I stumbled across it when I was very young, and it's dominated my life. And it's love, really. That's its deepest experience. It's love. And love wants to be shared. It just does, by its very nature, which means I'll do crazy things like drive all the way in the howling gales to be in Poole tonight. Why? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, really. You know, because I love, and because I want to share this. So if there's people that want to hear it, then I will come and speak to them, because what else can I do? I'm not going to be here for very long. Life is incredibly short, actually, as you discover as you get older. It seems very long at first, turns out to be quite short. Yes. How did that happen? You know, it's like it's so important that we share whatever we can while we can.
And we totally thank you for sharing your time with us. And you're mentioning the love factor. I think on your wonderful film, Tim's got a short film on his website, which is timfreke, Freke.com, and there's that thing about the universe is pulsating with love, and here you are mentioning the love factor. We're nearly on Valentine's Day, and my thought is actually it's an everyday, potentially, Valentine's Day.
Absolutely, and you know, no one quite knows where Valentine's Day comes from. My own personal little theory is that it's linked to Valentinus, who was a Gnostic poet and early Christian, who I wrote about in numbers of my books that are up in the Gnostic Christians. And he was a love junkie, which is why I like him, so I relate to him. He was a Gnostic, but he was a love junkie, and he wanted to return things to love, and me too. Ultimately, that's where it started for me, and I'd say, you know, what's happening to me now on my journey is that I'm experiencing a really profound return to incredible simplicity. I mean, you mentioned that I wasn't able to come before because of personal reasons, and those personal reasons was that my mum was very ill. She was 87 and she got ill and she died a couple of months ago. Which was a hell of a journey for me, as anyone who's been through something similar will know. And in my case, my mum was, people often say to me, you know, Tim, who's your great teachers? You know, Ramana Maharshi, or, you know, who's the, you know, Nisargadatta, Maharaj, who are these great, you know, what philosophers, and Socrates, you know. And all of those people have been great teachers to me. But my biggest teacher was my mum. And I don't say that just because she was my mum. I say it because she was my biggest teacher. And yet she never used words. She just taught me by how she lived her life. And what I saw in my mum, and it took me a while to see it. I didn't see it till I hit my 40s, really. But then one day I really did, was that this thing I was exploring and writing about, of waking up to this profound oneness and this love, She just knew it. She didn't think about it. She didn't read books on philosophy. Well, she read mine, but only because they're mine. She didn't read anybody else's. She was smart. She wasn't interested. You know, she had friends in Glastonbury who were into spirituality. She thought we were a bit quirky, really, but you know, she went along with it. But she just loved everyone, unconditionally, gave and gave and gave and gave and gave, just effortlessly, and this incredible energy of cheerful enlivenment right up until the end, just alive and just full of goodness. And what's been really striking me through that process, and it's been a culmination of thinking, I really want to learn what that is. That my mum, a woman who was like a million other women, in many ways you would never have noticed her, and yet so many people saw the same thing in her, which was, oh, she's just bringing this gnosis to life in such a natural way, without any need to name it, but just to be it. And to me, that is a life well lived. That's what a life well lived is. And my feeling now is that, you know, I want to eventually get, you know, what I need is, I'm hoping that I've got enough intellectual heavyweightness about me. I've written enough books, you know, I'm a serious philosopher, that I can eventually come out and go to people, look guys, it's so simple. Be kind. Do good. That's it. That's it. Do your best. No, really, I mean, really, do your best. Really, you know, things your mum told you, do your best. Yeah. Be kind. If you can get these simple things, your life and everyone around you will be utterly different. And all the rest is to get you to see the profundity of the immense simplicity of the things which have been staring us in the face since we were knee-high. Wow, Tim, thank you so much. That's a real pleasure. I'm going to hear some more from you, because you're now going to speak this evening for Conscious Living events, and I thank you very much for your time that you've given us here, and a really lovely wisdom coming through, as always with you, Tim. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Clara and Apollo over now. So we're back on Tea Time TV with Tim Freke after the event for Conscious Living events here this evening. Tim, how was that for you? Fantastic. Lovely, lovely, lovely evening. Just a real pleasure to be with such open people. You know, it's always a privilege when people are so willing to come on a journey and to be real and give me the chance to actually say what I really want to say. So yeah, special evening. Beautiful, beautiful group of people in a lovely place and a lovely end to the evening, especially. I think that we arrived somewhere where there was a real palpable connection. And for me, that's what I want to see. Yeah, definitely. Well, there's lots. I'm sure we're all going to go and sleep on it, maybe have some lucid dreams about what you were suggesting. And certainly this paradoxical thinking, it's got us all thinking and not thinking. And I just wanted to say, you're everywhere and nowhere, baby. That's where it's at. I'm afraid that's so good. But hey, Claire could tell, what a fab woman, honestly. Absolutely. It was so well organised, and it was great, you know, because I couldn't come to this the first time, which is going to be the first event. So I got to see it all really in full flower. So yeah, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in my experience, the consciousness with which things are organised and the way they're done. And if there's a real sense of clarity, but also kindness, and if those two come together, that's when you get a really special event. Definitely, and that's what she's got. And that's what she's got. Wow. And not just, but also the people that she's drawn around her to make it happen. And I've got a personal thank you for leading everyone through that beautiful meditation at the end. I think I've got a high five you here. Because I think that really was a very special moment for all of us. You know, we had some stillness, we were able to step back and all be the one, and yet come through and say, I am here and present. So you gave us so much. So that's what's so lovely, is that, you know, why are people suddenly gathering together in groups like this all over the country, all over the world? Why is that? Yeah. And it's to feel that. It's so that we can come together and feel that we're not alone, that we have kindred spirits, that we're not nuts, and that we can share what we are. And that means sharing our own idiosyncrasies, that we've all got an individual opinion, we all see something that no one else quite sees, and then there's this place where we're one. And if we have both of those going at once, that's when we can feel real communion. And we need that. You know, there was a time when human beings were doing this every week. You know, Sunday morning you went and did that. We don't do that anymore. So we need groups like this to bring about community which is otherwise being lost.
Because we do know, and we do need it.
We do.
Yeah.
We do need it. That's right.
Tim Freke, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Real pleasure.
And thanks to you. Now, I think Tim's going to be coming to do a whole day at some point. You have to sort this out.
Yes, I hope so.
Don't you?
Yep.
So look out for that. We'll let you know. Thanks for watching.